If you run a local business and you want more inbound calls and book jobs from Google, then this video is for you. Having an optimized Google Business Profile could be the difference between getting no calls coming at all versus having tens, if not hundreds of calls coming to your business every single month. Let me show you how it looks like when a Google Business Profile is optimized. So this is what it can look like when your Google Business Profile is optimized. This Google Business Profile has been viewed over 19,000 times in this period. They get over 400 impressions every single month. And this is how many calls they're getting every single month, just from the Google Business Profile alone. And this is for a kitchen countertop company where each sale could be tens of thousands of dollars. If you don't know who I am, my name is Munir. I run Vixel Studio. We have helped over 100 local service companies grow with SEO and Google Ads. Together, our clients have generated over $12 million in aggregate revenue from our process, so I'm very sure our process is going to work for you as well. If you don't believe me, we have case studies and testimonials on our website, vixelstudio.com, where you can see all the people we've worked with and how much money we made them with our process. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to optimize your Google Business Profile so you can rank #1 in your city. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to do this all by yourself, step by step. But let's get right into it. So the first step is to log into your Google Business Profile. The easiest way to do this is to go to business.google.com, and then it'll take you to this section right here where you'll see all the different businesses that you manage. And then you want to click on the See Your Profile button. Once you press that, you'll see a few buttons of how to manage your Google Business Profile, and we'll go through each one and what are the most important things. The main theme of this video will be that the more information you give Google, the higher chance you have to rank #1 with your Google Map profile. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the business name. So to change the business name, simply go to Edit Profile, and then you will see the name right here. And this is where you can edit the name of the business. So your business name is actually very important. It's actually one of the most important factors to ranking your Google Map profile. This company right here is a mobile tire changing service. So if you want to show up for mobile tire service near me, it will help you a lot if you add the name of the service in the name of your business right here. To also help you show up locally in your area, it could also benefit you to add the name of the city as well. This company is based in Ottawa, so adding mobile tire service Ottawa will help you show up for this specific keyword. You'll notice that whenever you search for a service in a city, the Google Business Profiles that rank at the top have the name of the service and the city typically in their business name. And they do that on purpose because it helps the Google Map profile rank high. So you could always try to add in the name of the service and the city with a dash after your real business name, but Google may temporarily change this back to what it was originally or may temporarily suspend you. The best way to get around this is to get something called a Doing Business As or DBA license in your state or country. So let's say the name of my company was called Team Tire. I could file with my government a DBA that says that I'm able to operate my company with Team Tire - Mobile Tire Service Ottawa. That way, whenever Google appeals the name of my business, I could submit that document, and then I would have a better chance of getting this appealed and having this name stick permanently on my Google Map profile, allowing me to rank high because I have the keyword that I'm trying to rank for in the name of my business. Next up right here, we have business category. So you're going to see there's primary category right here, and then you're able to add up to 8 or 9 additional categories as well. The primary category here is actually a very important factor to ranking on Google, so it's very crucial that you select the right one. The additional categories here are not nearly as important as the primary category. Google gives you many different options of what you can use for your primary category, so it's not always clear which one to use. So for example, if you're a lawyer, there's different types of lawyer that you can add: divorce lawyer, medical lawyer, and so on and so forth. What we typically do is we look at the competitors, see what their primary category is, and then we mimic that because they're already ranking #1 on Google Maps. So for example, let's say I am a bathroom remodeler in San Diego. You're going to see that the primary category that they selected is bathroom remodeler. Most people would have chosen something like general remodeler or construction company, but clearly bathroom remodeler is what is working to show up #1 on Google right here. It definitely wouldn't also hurt to add in the extra 9 additional categories right here of any other service that you may offer. These, however, don't have as much impact as a primary category of your Google Business Profile. Next we're going to look at is the business description right over here. So this is a paragraph that appears below the Google Business Profile. And what it looks like is it shows up right over here. Typically people here add information about their business, their services, their history, similar to the content that you'll find on an About Us page. Here I'd recommend adding any extra relevant keywords that you want to show up on Google for. So for example, if you're a plumber, I would mention here the different services that you offer, like drain cleanage or sink installation. I would also mention the different areas and the sub areas that you offer your services in. So for example, this is a mobile tire change company, so they mentioned the different areas within the Ottawa area that they offer their services in. However, you don't need to go too crazy because it's not a huge ranking factor. Don't try to stuff it in too much. Just make it sound natural, mention your services and your locations, and then you're good to go. Then we have the business opening date right over here. And for many customers, it actually gives them a lot of reassurance if you've been in business for a very long time. So to edit this, just go back into the edit profile and you can change this date right over here. You could technically say you've been established for a very long time, but I wouldn't try to lie or go around it because Google could figure out and then fix it. So I'll just be truthful and transparent. So let's talk about the website next. It's very important to have a website as it makes you a lot more credible compared to all the other businesses out there, since most businesses have a good functioning website. There are some businesses out there that actually have multiple locations within a major city. So what those businesses can do is they can make a page for every single location. So let's say you offer your services in the city of Toronto and in Montreal. What you can do for the Toronto Google Map location is you can add in the specific Toronto website page so that whenever someone clicks on the website link, it takes them to the Toronto page. And then for the Montreal Google Map profile, you can add in the Montreal link so that it takes them to the Montreal page. Next is phone number right here. You're able to add up to 2 phone numbers on a Google Map profile. If you have a toll-free number, you should add it as the secondary phone number. Typically what we do for clients is we actually purchase an additional local phone number that forwards to the business's main phone number. And we typically do this so that we're able to track how many phone calls we actually get from that Google Business profile alone. That extra phone number we purchase is only visible on the Google Map profile. It's not visible anywhere else. So we know 100% certain if someone called that phone number, they got it from the Google Map profile. We do this so we're able to determine how many calls the Google Business profile is generating and how good the leads are as well. Next, let's talk about the business location and address. So once you press on business location, you can decide to show the business address to customers or flag it off. So currently having a business address is actually one of the biggest factors to showing up high on Google. So I highly recommend trying to get any business publicly shown on a Google Map profile. If we go back to the bathroom remodeling San Diego example, you'll see that almost every single business that is not sponsored that shows up high has a pin on the Google Map showing their physical address. You can see as I keep clicking, I'm going to see more and more businesses that have a visible address on their Google Business profile. If you have a brick and mortar business, it's very easy to get your business verified. You just have to add in your address and add in your suite number. After you submit it, Google will undergo something called their verification process. Over the past few years, Google has actually made it a lot harder to get a physical address because they know it holds that much power when it comes to ranking high on the Google Maps section. So once you put in your address, after a few hours, Google will ask you to complete something called their video verification. You'll be shown a screen like this, and Google will ask you to record a small video on your mobile phone to show 3 things. The first thing that they're going to want to see in that small video is any street signage of any nearby roads. They're going to want to see physical signage of your business, and the physical sign should have the exact name of your business. And they want to see you unlocking the store entrance. What Google will do is they'll give you a QR code so that you can scan on your phone, and then once you open that link on your phone, you'll be able to record a video. Note, you only have 2 tries to submit this video to Google. Once you've submitted your second video, they will request a much longer form where you have to show papers and documentation such as proof or utilities to prove that you actually operate from that location. If you have a co-working space, you can try to submit a video verification, but the key part will be to ensure that you have a physical signage of your company clearly visible in the video. Google does not allow virtual offices or PO boxes as addresses, unfortunately. If you do this, your address will not be allowed and you risk suspending your Google Business profile. So these are the rules that Google says itself. It says businesses cannot list an office at a co-working space unless that office maintains clear signage, receives customers at the location during business hours, and is staffed during business hours by staff. If you're trying to set your address as your residential address, Google's rules state that unless people are visiting your location and there is signage, then you cannot use your residential address on the Google Business profile. So for example, it says here, if you're a plumber and you run your business from your residential address, clear the address from your Google Business profile, meaning that they don't want to see your residential address. So let's say you are a business that goes to people's houses like a cleaner or a plumber. You can use something called the service area business. So for example, you can leave this on and then you can just leave your service area right over here. And you can write up to 20 different areas within your main service area that you actually offer your services. One thing I will say though that is very important is that if you really want to have your Google Business profile show up high, I strongly recommend you try to find some physical address that you can fill in this section right over here. Google will always prioritize businesses that have a physical address near the top of any search, whether you're looking for an actual brick and mortar store or someone like a plumber. That means that even if you have more reviews than all the other businesses, but you have a service area business, those other competitors will show up higher just because they have a physical address. So I can't stress it enough how crucial it is to try to find an address for your Google Business profile. Many people think that they have to get a huge office if they're a service area business, but it's actually not the case. You can just rent any small office or small room that's a few $100s a month. One thing to note though is wherever your address is located is where you will show up higher for. So for example, in a large city, if your pin is at the west end side of the city, your Google Business profile will show up higher in that west end. So for example, this is a garage door repair company in San Diego, and their address is right here in San Diego. And you'll notice that around their main address, but as you go further and further from their main location, the rankings drop lower and lower. And that's because if you click on this pin right over here, you're going to see there's many other different businesses with their own address in this area right here, meaning that these businesses have a much higher chance of showing up just because their physical address is near that pin. Google says there's nothing wrong if you have a small physical office that your clients could potentially use to visit you, but if you do the majority of your work at your clients' homes, that's totally fine. Next, let's talk about the business hours. So you're able to select whether you want to be open with your main hours or open with no hours, temporarily closed or permanently closed. If you run a brick and mortar store and the majority of the people actually walk into your business, it's crucial that you keep this section updated. And especially if you get a lot of business during the holidays, I'd highly recommend you fill in the special hours right over here so you can mention all the hours that you're open during these specific dates. Many companies don't fill out their hours during the holidays, and many people especially are searching for services during the holidays. So this is a great way to fill it out so you can always show up on top. So let's say you're more of a hybrid business, like let's say you're a plumber. You have a small office where you verified the address, but the majority of the work you do happens outside the office, like at people's homes. In that case, you can set your hours to be when you're willing to accept calls from your business. One thing to note is Google does always prioritize businesses that are currently open. That means if someone is looking for a plumber and it's 9 p.m., Google will not prioritize the businesses that are marked as closed. It'll prioritize the businesses that are currently open at the top of the Google Maps section. Some businesses set up a voice AI receptionist to take in the details of these leads so that they can call them back in the morning if someone calls in after hours. However, the most ideal case is to have someone to actually answer the phone call. Next, let's talk about Google Reviews, which you can see with this button right here called Read Reviews. It should be no surprise to you that one of the most important factors to showing up on Google Maps is getting many high-quality reviews. Google always wants to promote the best businesses in an area so that people have a good experience using Google, and you'd be surprised that many users will actually read the reviews before deciding with your company or not. And the easiest way to get more reviews is to simply just ask your customers, because you'd be surprised at how many business owners don't even do that. And Google wants you to collect reviews, which is why they have this Get More Reviews button. And if you press on it, it'll give you a direct URL that you can send out to your clients so that they can leave you a review. When someone opens that link, it'll automatically open up your Google Map profile and prompt them to leave a review. Another easy way to get reviews is to use something called NFC Google Review Cards. This is an example of what they look like on Amazon. And all someone has to do is just tap the card and it'll automatically take them to the page where they can leave you a review. Not only do you want to get a large number of reviews, but you also want to make sure that each review is very descriptive of what you actually did for them. The more keywords that your customers add in your reviews, the more that you'll show up for those keywords. If you have many reviews that mention something like lawn care, your Google Business profile will show up higher when someone searches for something like lawn care. For example, whenever I search for vegan restaurants in my area, you're going to see that Google will highlight the reviews that actually mention the word vegan or vegetarian in the reviews. And one other note is that if you do receive some negative reviews, you should respond and try to defend yourself and your business. You have to view Google reviews as a general open court. And if you don't defend your case, people will just assume by default that you are guilty. So always try to respond as quickly and as professionally as possible. By the way, if you want us to do all of this for you and help you get your website set up and much more, you can book a call with my team with the first link in the description. On the call, we're going to go over all the gaps between you and your competitors and what we can do to get your Google Map profile to rank #1 in your area. Next, let's talk about the extra business attributes. So if you press on Edit Profile and then press on More, you're going to see there's a few extra things that you can fill out about your business. You can add in things such as if your business is woman-owned, different offerings, and this will change depending on the category of your business, different types of payments that you accept, and so on and so forth. And I would recommend you fill this in as detailed as possible. Next, let's talk about Google Business Profile photos. So photos are huge when it comes to Google Business Profiles. People will be forming their initial opinion based on the photos that they see, so you really want to pay attention to what images you're putting out there. So there's 3 types of images on Google Maps. If you press on Photos on your Google Business Profile, the first type of photo that you can add is the cover photo. This is the first photo that people will see of your business. If you're a service business, this can be an image of your team or the outside of your brick and mortar store. The dimensions of this image should be 1024 by 576 pixels. It should be in a JPEG or PNG format, and it shouldn't be higher than 5 megapixels. Note that Google can override the photo that you use as your cover photo, so you may have to try a few different photos until you get the one that Google approves. The next one is your logo right here. This is the icon that shows up alongside your Google Map profile or when you respond to reviews. This should be a clear logo on a white background. The dimensions here should be 720 pixels by 720 and also shouldn't be greater than 5 megapixels. Other than these two, the last category is any just normal photo that you can add in addition to your Google Business Profile. So for example, if I'm looking for a bathroom remodeler in San Diego, I can see all the different photos by just clicking on this, and you can upload more photos that customers can see. To add more photos, just press on Photos right here, and you can press on Add Photos and then upload photos directly. It's always a good idea to regularly add photos to your Google Business Profile. This is how Google will see that your Google Business Profile is active, which it always prefers. You can upload many types of photos. For example, if you're a service business, this can be images of your truck, your crew, or any completed jobs. These images should also be in JPEG or PNG and should be 10 megabytes max. I also wouldn't recommend using stock images as Google can identify it and just take them down. And last thing is always remember that people will be judging your business based on photos because first impressions do make a big difference. So always make sure to put your best images at the Google Business Profile. Next, we'll talk about the product section right here. So you can press on Edit Products and you're able to add different products to your Google Map profile. You can press on Get Started right here and you can add add a product name, you can create your own categories, add a price optionally, add a description with a maximum of 1,000 characters, and add a URL for this as well. You can also add in one photo for this product right here. In the description, I would add in extra keywords that I'm trying to show up for as well. Again, I wouldn't stuff it to the point that it reads unnaturally because it's not a huge SEO factor, but it's always better to give Google more context. For your product landing page, as part of your bigger SEO plan, it's always a good idea to create a page for every single service or product that you offer on your website. So ideally, once you've created the page, you can add a link to it in the product over here. The recommended size of the image should also be 1200 by 900 pixels and should be a maximum size of 16 megapixels and ideally in the JPEG or PNG format. What it typically looks like is when you scroll down, you'll see products right over here and you're able to view all and see all the different products or services that a company offers. This is great real estate on the Google Business Profile, and although it's not a huge ranking factor, it's a great way to visually enhance your profile and separate you from the rest. Even if you're a service-based business like a bathroom remodeler, you should still add in the different services that you offer and have a dedicated page for each one. So for example, if you're a plumber, you can create a product for a sink repair, sink installation, toilet clogging, etc. Next, we'll talk about the edit services button right over here. Here you can add a very long list of all the different services that your business could possibly offer. This will help you show up for those niche services whenever someone searches for it. So I'd recommend pressing adding more services and going through all the different ones that you could offer and making sure that you add them. Next, we have Google Business Profile Posts, which is this button right over here. This is a great way to release new updates on any new offers or any business update. This is usually the content that is similar to what you would post on a social media page. It's not a huge ranking factor, but it's always a good idea to keep your profile active. So once you scroll down below the products, this is where you see all the Google Business Profile updates. You can click on it and see these posts right over here. A good cadence of posts is around once a week if you're looking to do Google Business Profile posts. Once you press on Google Business Profile posts, you can press on add a post, and Google allows you to add 3 different types of posts: update, offer, and event. For update, you're allowed to add these things. You're able to add a small description of 1,500 words, and you're able to schedule the post in the future, so you can use AI to help you script it out for a few months in advance. You're also able to upload a photo, which should be 1200 by 900 pixels. The image should also be a JPEG or PNG, and should be a maximum of 5 megabytes. You can also add a call to action button and choose which one you want to add, as well as add a link to the call to action. The next option you have right here is the offer. Here you'll add the title, description, start and end date. You can also add a photo. You can also schedule this in advance, and you're also able to add in the terms, coupon code, and link to redeem the offer. And then the last one is the event, which is similar to the offer. You can add in a title, description, start and end date, schedule it, and add different call to action buttons with the URL. Next, let's talk about the chat feature. So that you can see by clicking on edit profile and scrolling down to the chat right over here. So there are some customers that would rather prefer to text someone than giving a call. And if you're looking to have leads text you, this is how you can do it. When you do add this phone number, what it would typically look like is there will be a message button like this over here. The last item to talk about is the social media profile. So if you press on edit profile and you scroll to the bottom and you scroll to social profiles, you'll be able to add in different social media profiles to your Google Map profile. You're able to add Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. This is good to show potential customers that you are active on different platforms and that you are a real active business. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.